when we met, like when I was at Alterior, I've been kind of wondering ever since, was that a typical day for you guys? Like it seemed, I don't know, it was just like such a good, I don't use this word that often, but I will now, like a vibe. There were so many people hanging out and everyone was like just talking about completely different stuff, but it all kind of cohesively made sense at the end of it. So is that like every day for you, or was that special?
That is, that's kind of like I guess I couldn't even really say if it happens on a specific day, but like yeah, usually the weekends are like yeah, like today, like a Friday, to like a Sunday maybe, or even like random days in the middle of the week. It really depends. Like some of the homies just like pull up and then like no, none of the homies like really say like I guess they don't really talk to each other like oh all gonna go to Altair. I think they all just like kind of show up like on their own and then it ends up becoming this like big meetup. But yeah, usually on like weekends, like the homies kind of pull up, everybody pulls up after, after work and then they just try to, I don't know, just see what's up. And then knowing that probably other people are going to be there, that we just kind of chat. Yeah, a lot of the homies that were there that day when you visited were like people a lot of people they're like our regular visitors, but they're also like our friends and past coworkers, people that we like me and Dallas and Cole like all used to work with in our past and stuff. But yeah, that's like it's kind of a yeah that was kind of like a like normal day. It doesn't happen every day, but it's happened quite often. Like in recent maybe in the recent year, like a lot of homies just pull up and hang out. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it seemed busy, but I don't know if that, busy to me could be normal to a bigger city. And I think, you're kind of alluding to it right before I hit record, but is it like hard to, if you have anything you need to get done that day? I could see it being a distraction a bit. Like, I mean, it's hard to complain about hanging out with friends all day, but if you have something to do, it might hinder that.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the studio, sometimes I gotta plan ahead if I'm like actually have a lot of things to do or if I just want to chill. So if I have a lot of work that I need to do, and I'd probably maybe try and get it done the night before, or maybe even just come in early just to get all my work done before all the homies start pulling up. But yeah, but once like 3, 4, like 5 p.m. hits, like and a couple homies pull up, it's pretty much like, yeah, my day's done. Like I'm not going back to my computer at all.
Are you like working out of there full time, like 5 days a week?
I'm here. I mean, I pull up almost every day. But the days that I'm mostly here, I'm here maybe like 3 or 4 times um, a week, like all day, or popping in and out. And then the other days of the week, I work part time at Stussy. So yeah, I kind of split my time.
Okay. I had no idea. I assumed. I guess I'll learn throughout the conversation, but I thought you might have been full time photography.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of consider like myself like full time photography. There's never really a week that I'm like not doing something photo related. But yeah, I wouldn't. But I guess like it's not like my full time job, I guess. But I'm just always doing it, and then I kind of just work like yeah, and then I kind of just work at Stussy part time, and then yeah, and then I help out Alterior whenever they need help, whether it's like in the shop or just hanging around, or if they need help with their photos and stuff like that, then I'll pop in and help them out for sure.
It's a good system to have. That sounds like multiple good places, like good circles to be in. They probably all inspire each other in a way.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, all the environments are great. Like all my homies, like all my homies that I hang out with, like outside of here, also work at Stussy. So it's just kind of like every day is always filled with like hanging out with the homies, and it's just thankful that I also get paid to do it. So it's nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's a bonus.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
a lot of people hang out with their friends, I guess, but they don't make a paycheck for doing it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So thankfully, I have a nice little setup where I get to hang out and make a little bit of change.
I'm obviously like very curious about book section. I'm gonna try to ask you about photos first, and then pivot to that. Hopefully, it
For
works
sure.
out. You just I guess blatantly, one of the first questions is like, when do you remember what made you want to be a photographer? Like way back when you decided what helped you make that decision.
Um, I think I started doing photography like pretty late. I would say like not late, but I think like a lot of people are maybe in tune with their creativity, maybe like younger, like in high school, all I wanted to do was play sports basically, and I just like didn't really care about like art really and like stuff like that. And like obviously I like music and things like that, but I never had a camera growing up or anything like that. But um and then I met some friends like while I was in college, and they were like super artsy guys and kind of introduced me to like different stuff. And then they were and then I kind of just like adopted like this camera from my uncle. He was kind of like a hobbyist like photographer, more on like the technical side, you know, like he's like was explaining to me all like the settings and how to use it and like all this type of stuff. He'd be like taking pictures of like landscape and like birds and stuff like that. But stuff that I wasn't really into, but kind of just adopted this camera from him, and then I would just be taking photos with me and my friends, just like on I don't know, just like hanging out with friends, like, hey, let me take your photo in front of this like car and stuff like that. Um, I didn't really take it that seriously, but then I kind of just started taking photos like in my own time, like as a hobby, and then I kind of just learned to kind of enjoy it, and then eventually I kind of started loving it, and then I got asked to do a couple shoots from friends that were in like fashion programs. Like, hey, can you do a photo shoot for my school project, stuff like that? And then I would just kind of learn, but I wasn't really. I would say I wasn't even really trying to be a photographer, but since people were asking me, I just like loved like oh that's cool. Like you're asking me to do it, like cool. I'll do it. You know, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I think eventually, like probably when I was like 25 or 26, like um, I had this like feeling like within myself that like, you know, enough people were telling me that I was like good at photography, which I thought was crazy. And I also in my own like heart, I guess, was like, yeah, I should really, really love this. And I don't know like what being a photographer looks like. I don't really have any photographer friends. Um, but I think I want to try and pursue this like in a more serious way. And yeah, and that's that. During that time, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just try. And I had like a couple. I maybe had like one or two homies that were like also kind of pursuing photography as well, and I would kind of feed off of them and ask them questions and figure out like how do you make this like I don't know, a sustainable career or like a career or like in general, you know. So, but that was kind of like a turning point. And at the time, I had already finished college, and I was I was working in healthcare, and yeah, and I thought to myself like, hey, I'm gonna give myself 2 years from now. I'm gonna go super hard on this photo thing, and if I end up really loving it and making something of it, I'm gonna keep going and keep going until I can't. And then, but at the end of these 2 years, if I find that maybe this is something that I just like love as a hobby, then I'll just like go back to work. I'll just go back to doing healthcare or like working retail or something like that. So I gave myself that 2 years, and yeah, and thankfully I never had to go back to work.
What was your sport in high school?
I played a lot of basketball. Um, yeah, I played a lot like growing up, and then I played at a pretty like semi, I guess like high level growing up. Played on like a provincial team 1 year, and then yeah, and then I tried playing in college for a bit, but I was like, honestly, I was just like really small. I mean, compared to everybody else, I'm like 5'11", 6 feet, but I'm like also only at the time I was only like 150 pounds. So that was like playing against dudes that were like 6'7", like 220, and yeah, I went to like a tryout, a training camp thing at the university that I was going to, and I basically was just like a practice player for like a semester. But that's as far as my basketball career went.
You still play at all?
Yeah, now I play in like adult leagues. Um, yeah, like I play in this adult league called like Round Ball, and it has like three different divisions, and like the top division has like ex pros, like college players, and all that stuff, and then it kind of just like gets like lower and lower level from there, and I play in like the lowest level. But I play with like my homies that don't really play like or have never really played organized basketball, and it's just like fun to like get up and down and still exercise. And yeah, I haven't really taken on to like any other types of like forms of like cardio or exercise. Like I tried running for a bit, but I realized that like I hate it. And I was climbing and like doing bouldering for a bit, but it's just like so expensive. So yeah, so I don't know, basketball has always like stuck with me, and also just like learned so much from playing team sports. And I feel like, yeah, playing sports is always like a great like character building, like getting to know yourself, and getting to know how far you can like push yourself and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you were saying you self-imposed like a 2-year limit. Like if you can figure it out and make it somewhat sustainable, you were gonna go back to work. Do you think like I mean I guess completely hypothetical, but if it hadn't have worked, would you actually like follow those guidelines? Do you think you would have gone back, or would you give yourself like another 6 months or another year?
I mean, thinking about it back then, I probably would have just gone back to work, honestly, because like photography to me was so new, and it was like something that like I never planned in my life. And growing up, like I always wanted to work in healthcare. So it was something I had like a job being like, oh, I'm so miserable. Like I need a creative outlet. Like I wasn't like that. I was like, I love this job. Like I'm down, but I kind of like am feeling this love for something else, and I want to give it a shot. And I think like my whole thing was like, I just want to give it a shot. And I think I'd regret not giving myself those 2 years, whether or not like I did something or I didn't. I think I would have regretted like not giving myself that chance, because I did like the life that I had, that I was living before. I loved my job and I loved doing that. So I probably honestly would have went back. But I think maybe because I'd probably still continue like doing photography like as a hobby. I think maybe like looking back at it, maybe down the line, like I those feelings would creep back up, and maybe I'd give myself like another year, like after going back to work for 2 more years, and be like, oh, maybe I'll try this photography thing again. You never know. But yeah, I never had to go back to my healthcare job.
That's awesome. I mean, cool that, like you're saying, you kind of took a chance on yourself because you would have regretted not trying it. I don't think enough people, probably me included, like, do that, like, kind of force ourselves to try things because of the, like, wondering if we never did, like, how we would end up feeling. So that's super commendable as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gave me a lot of it started like it helped me like create a relationship with like art making and photography, like a really healthy relationship with it, and like looking at it in a way that I wasn't trying to like, I don't think I was like trying to like of course, yeah, I wanted to like work, but I also was, my goal was to kind of figure out like who I was, or where I would be in terms of like being a photographer. And I think it really helped me like learn to like really love and appreciate like photography and like making art and being creative and like being in tune with myself and those things. And I think coming out of those 2 years, like if I had to go back to work, like I knew that like I would always like be doing photography regardless for the rest of my life. And because I learned that I truly, truly like really enjoyed it. And I think, yeah, and I think these days I talked to a lot of photographers like up and coming or like seasoned ones, and they always like ask me questions about photography and my career and stuff like that. And I think that everybody's just like so obsessed with like having a career and working and being a working photographer, like always asking like how do I charge for stuff and my rates, and those are all valid questions, but like I don't know, like none of that stuff like really like matters to me. I like really, really like truly like love photography. And if you told if someone told me that like, hey Donnell, like you're never gonna make money off of photography for the rest of your life starting now, I'd still probably be doing the same thing like right now. I'd probably still be out taking photos, doing photo shoots, and like taking photos of my friends and making zines and stuff like that. I'd probably still be doing that because it's like something like I truly love. And I think those 2 years like really um, helped me like find that like within myself, I guess, or like, yeah.
When you, like you said, you got into it a little late, and I guess you weren't taking any photos before that, but were you consuming photography at all? Like, were you aware of photos, or like, did you just see images and kind of treat them, like the average person, like an ad or a movie without really analyzing it? Or were you at least like interested in photos? You just didn't make them yet.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in elementary school, up until like now, even like I was always been buying Slam magazines, which are like the basketball magazine, and I would buy those like every month that they would come out. So I'd be kind of consuming like sports photography and some ways kind of like fashion photography through those ads, through like the sneaker ads or like like Rocawear ads, like stuff like that. Whatever clothes were popular back then. And I think during high school and like college, I got really really into Tumblr, and I still use Tumblr like a lot, like every day. Um, but I think through that, I kind of was consuming photography, but I didn't really know like I knew what I liked, like I knew what photos like, oh, this is a cool photo. Like I just knew like why certain photos connected to me in a certain way, but I didn't really know like why. And I think like, it was like really later on, like when I really like dug into like my own creativity is when I like could explain to people like why I liked certain things or like where certain inspirations come from. But even now, like I don't really know like too much about like photography or like art history or anything like that, but I do have like a gigantic like library of images that I've like saved on like my hard drives that are like things that I always like reference for some reason or another.
How many issues of Slam do you have?
Oh man, I have so many. I was buying Slam since the 7th grade, probably every month up until I was like 19, 20 years old. So I have this like huge stack of slams like at my parents' place, and they like keep begging me to like get rid of it, but I'm like, oh, you don't know, like you don't understand. This is like LeBron James's like cover when he was in high school. And I'm like, please just keep it for me. Like, why can't you keep it at your place? I'm like, I don't have room. I have too many books now.
You never know, like, they could be worth millions at some point.
Yeah, actually, I mean, there's some there that like sometimes when I go back to my parents, I'll like look at them and I'm like, wow, like this is crazy. Like this, I'll like look at a cover. I'm like, wow, I completely forgot about this player. Like, where did he even go? Like he was supposed to be like the best player ever, and then you look at covers that are like, oh, this is like Kevin Durant or like legendary play. Oh, Steph Curry. And I'm like, well, these are like issues where people they were virtually like nobody, and then now they're like legends. So it's like, yeah. I mean, it sucks that I like basically like didn't really take care of the magazines. Like I was like really like ruffling through them, and they're all like got rips and like super wrinkled and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure maybe like I can throw like a LeBron James cover in a plastic, and it might still be worth something even if it's tattered.
Yeah, anytime it's rare. I've gotten rid of all of my good stuff that I should have kept from when I was younger. But if I do have anything left, it's in the worst condition possible. Like obviously young me had no idea that I was gonna want that thing later in life, and I had no idea how to like treat things properly, so everything I do have is completely like trashed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was not like, yeah, I was not thinking at all like if like anything that I buy or like collect or whatever, I never think at all that like, oh, I need to keep this like pristine. I'm like, obviously, I'm gonna be buying this because I need to use it, and like, yeah, I'm not thinking that people are gonna like want like some of my junk is gonna be worth like anything in the future because I'm just like gonna ruin it like the day that I get it.
I guess it's a good sign though for them to be have wear and tear, because then you know at least you like put them to good use when you were using them daily.
Yeah, I mean, all the slam magazines had like the middle there'd be like a big poster like in the middle that you could like rip out. And I'm pretty sure like every single like issue has the poster ripped out.
Do you have any of the posters left, like any on the wall at home?
I have like a small collection of the posters of the ones that like probably like when I moved out of like my parents' place like a long time ago. Like I like took a lot of like the good ones, and the rest like I pretty much just trashed them because I'm like I don't think anybody's wants these or whatever. But looking back on it, I feel like I probably should have like kept most of them.
Did you ever? I mean, all I can think of now is like, had you tried sports photography? To me, it seems like someone who was really into basketball and then got into photography, it would be kind of a natural transition to at least attempt basketball
Hmm.
photography.
Yeah, like I did one time. I got this pretty sick opportunity to go photograph. Can't remember what year it was. It might have been 2016. 2016. I'll just say it's 2016, but like, but it was one of the NBA All Star games, NBA All Star games in New Orleans. I don't know which year that was, but yeah, I got to work with like a team to photograph some activations that were going on in the city. One of the ones was like they were building like a might have been like a Foot Locker, like a House of Hoops, like a brand new one, like on the main strip in New Orleans. And they had all the Nike players like that were sponsored at the time, like come through and like just chat with kids for like 5 minutes. And it was like at the time, like the Nike lineup was nuts. It was like LeBron, like Kobe, like Paul George, like all these like really really great like players were all on Nike, and they all came, and I got to snag photos of them. The unfortunate part was that like after I was working for this company, and after the day was done, the first day was done, after I took all these sick photos of like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, I gave my SD card to like I guess like the meteor, the person who's like controls like everybody's like photos basically. Because we all like dumped them into like this guy's computer. He gives me back my SD card, and like the SD card's just wiped. And I'm like, oh dude, like I definitely should have like saved some of these on my own computer, but I was just too busy. Like, I'm like, oh well, this was my first time like doing anything like this, so I was just like, okay, I give my SD card to you, you give it back, and then I can put these photos on my computer. And then obviously it didn't happen, and so I don't have any documentation of like that time when I was there and did that. But I don't know. I also think that like photographing basketball to me is like I think I like love it so much like as a player. Like I don't like and like a person who like plays it. I never thought to like I never thought to like to photograph basketball. Um and I never really like desired to like photograph basketball. I think it's just because I just like looked at it from like a different perspective, and I just like looked at basketball as an art form of like something that like my body could do. And I feel like I didn't really feel like I needed to like document it because I had all these like years of like playing it and those memories and stuff like that. And I just like love watching basketball still. And I think I consume it in that way more so than like documenting it on my own. And also I think I yeah like reading all the slam magazines and stuff. I think I just like always like loved like the perspective of like other photographers and like consuming it in that type of way too. But I don't know. It's like one of those things. I don't know if like you have anything like that that's like, oh, it's like so precious. Like you don't even know like it seems like it's automatic that you should be doing that, but maybe it's so precious to you that like you don't really know how or maybe don't want to like touch it.
Yeah, I have less restrained. In theory, I would love to have a bunch of things that I respected so much that I didn't want to photograph them, but like I will admit that I'm pretty impatient and spontaneous in that way. So even if I gonna impose that rule on myself, I feel I would break it. Like whether I did anything with the images, like I would probably take them either way. Like I don't know. I wish I would like to say I had that restraint, but I might not.
I mean, nowadays I wish like damn, I wish I would have like maybe tried and like gone and did some jobs where I could like take a photo of like LeBron, like my favorite player, and it's like, well, I guess I can't anymore. Like, he's like probably gonna retire next year.
Is that your goat, LeBron?
I mean, like, yeah, I would say he's like kind of my goat. Like, honestly, like, I probably like every single one of my friends, like always, I guess like makes fun of me, like saying that like LeBron is my goat. But honestly, like, I don't know. I love him. I love LeBron. He's awesome. He's great.
And I mean, just out of pure curiosity, was that the mishap with the SD card? Was that like contractual, or did that guy just wipe it like without really knowing, and you just didn't bother asking for them back, or was that like in the contract that like we own all the IP once the photos are taken?
Yeah, I think that was probably the case, and I maybe was just like unaware because it was like just like owned this company was like kind of he was like the brother of a it was also like yeah it was my first time working any type of job like that, so I didn't really know what the procedures were. So when I got my SD card back, I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is just how it is, and then maybe he'll send me the photos like after or something. But then I learned later that he's like, nah, like he's like I own all the photos, and like yeah, you can't use them for your like portfolio or something because I think the photos they weren't like a it was like a it was like an internal photo documentation for Nike, so it wasn't like public facing like photos. It was for like I was basically taking photos that Nike execs could use in like a PowerPoint presentation to show bigger Nike execs that like, hey, this is what happened during All-Star weekend, blah blah blah. It wasn't like stuff that was going on Instagram or like posters or anything like that. So yeah, so completely understandable, but also yeah, I don't know, maybe rookie mistake by me.
Yeah, no, understandable, but definitely like those would be amazing photos to have.
Yeah, yeah, but I'll always have the memories.
I forgot to ask earlier on. I can't believe I even remember to circle back. But when you inherited that camera from your uncle, do you remember what camera it was?
Yeah, it was like this old like Olympus DSLR. Um, I can't remember what the model was, but yeah, it was like Olympus. Yeah, it was like this Olympus DSLR, and it was like like half, like maybe like couple, maybe like a year into like um borrowing it from my uncle. Uh, like I dropped it, and then like the screen, like the LCD screen or whatever, like it just stopped working, but the camera like worked, so I could still see all the settings like through the viewfinder. Um, but I had no money to like get another camera, so I just kind of stuck with it. So like so it was like kind of like shooting like a digital film camera where like I could only see the results of my photos like after I've like uploaded them onto my computer. But and it was also like stuck in like a black and white setting. So like I couldn't like so for like a whole year I was just shooting like these black and white digital photos, basically kind of like blind in a way. And then but it really in turn it really taught me how to be very intuitive like with my camera. So like now like naturally like if I'm outside, I kind of just know like instinctively like oh like this is what my settings would be because I just like think back to that time when I had the broken Olympus where I had to like learn like natural lighting and settings and stuff. Yeah.
That's so perfect. I mean, lots of the really talented photographers I know, like, especially early on into their career, like when they didn't have money or anything to buy new equipment, they always had some janky setup that like worked a certain way, but like they all swear, shooting on this for the first year is like what made me understand f-stop, or that's what like made me understand
Yeah,
aperture.
yeah,
So I think it's kind of fitting. It's like almost a rite of passage.
yeah. It was I mean I never looked at it as like oh fuck like I need to get a new camera or like there's like or like looked at the camera as like useless. I was like okay well I can kind of figure this stuff out and it's definitely a more jankier process, but yeah, I learned a lot and I think it was like yeah, I thought it was great.
Was your uncle mad you dropped it?
I mean, he like I didn't tell him for like the longest time, but because he had already like upgraded to like a crazy camera after that, which is the reason why I was able to like borrow his old camera. But later on, I think like later on, eventually he was like, "Yo, like you've been using this camera for like 2 3 years, like you should just buy it off me." And I was like, "Fuck!" And then I told him I was like, "Oh, yeah, I kind of dropped it." And then he was like, "All right, like just give me like $150 or something like that." So I like paid him $150, and then, um, but oddly enough, by that time I had also bought a new camera, so I was basically paying him like $150 for like this old camera that I don't even use anymore. But it's the principle, I guess.
Yeah, 150. I mean, nowadays you would get absolutely nothing for that price.
Yeah, you couldn't even get like a broken like digicam for $150 these days.
Yeah, I was just actually looking at cameras on eBay, and even the
Mhm.
parts cameras are like 4 or 500.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. I mean, everything's just like so much more expensive. So, yeah,
Was he was the only one in your family that took photos?
yeah. I mean, he was like, yeah, he's like by a formality, like he's my uncle, but he's only like 3 years older than me. Um, but we were like pretty close, like growing up, and he was just the type of guy to try so many different things. He also played a lot of basketball growing up, and like yeah, he was like a serial like hobbyist. Like right now he's really into running. He's like super into running right now. Like always sending me as it's like he'll get into like a very specific hobby and like learn every single thing about it. And like he'll do it for like 6 months to like a year and then he'll be on to something new. Um, but yeah, he was kind of like the only other person in my family growing up that was kind of artistic that type of way. I mean, my dad's like is like a musician, so like I guess yeah, he's definitely an artistic, but like I didn't really view my dad like in that type of way.
Before, like you mentioned at the beginning of this, how you started kind of shooting your friends, and then you're helping out with people who are like involved in fashion programs and stuff. When I look at your photos now, it's like a lot of people. Like people are mainly
Mhm.
the subject of these. I'm wondering, is that like, did you start with that kind of being the focus, or did you learn how to like photograph people as it went?
I think I started with that. I think I I didn't really consume like I guess a lot of like street photography growing up. So I didn't really know what that like type of style was. And I was like at the time I was like also kind of getting more into like clothes and fashion, streetwear and stuff like that. So um yeah, I just started off like shooting people and just asking I guess like one of my goals in that 2 years was like, oh, I wanted to like get a job as like a I don't know, photographer for like a fashion brand or like a local store or something like that to like do shoots and stuff. So a lot of like my earlier photography did start out with like a lot of like portraiture and like stuff that was more fashion um leading. Um but yeah, but now it's like kind of turned less maybe about fashion and more about people, more about the actual people. But I guess like I can't really kick like the fashion aesthetic, I guess. So my photos end up still kind of looking like fashion esque. Um, but the focus now when I shoot people is like I'm shooting a lot of my friends, and I kind of want to just like document them for my own sake, but also because I think they're interesting people, and I think they have like also cool looks and stuff like that, and just but yeah, I definitely start out like shooting people more, and then lately I've been doing a lot more like street photography, I guess you'd say.
Interesting. Like most people I would talk to kind of go like the opposite way.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's like I would have. I don't even know if I take photos of many people now, but I would have started with definitely like objects and like things I'm seeing in my travels. And like when I think about, I've said it on here, but not for a while, so I feel it's safe to repeat it. Like when I was young, I admit how like closed minded and stupid this is, but I used to think portraits were like easy. I never took them really, but I would think like, yeah, someone taking portraits of people, it's really like as long as they have a good camera and the person is interesting, it's gonna be a good portrait. And
Yeah.
then like I don't know why I would. I mean, I'm fine admitting it now because it's so dumb, but I don't know how I would like say that in a group of photographers, but I would. And then when I tried taking photos of people, I realized I was 1,000% wrong, and I couldn't like it was really hard. It was impossible. And like now, I think I can't believe I thought that way and thinking that way for years. Sort of, I wasn't really trying to take portraits in that time. So now I'm thinking a bit more about them, and I still have a lifetime of learning, but like years before I'm even comfortable with it at all. So I'm jealous that you started from the beginning documenting people and have much more of a like tenuous grasp on it.
Yeah, I was a lot of like the Slam magazine and stuff. Like most of the photos of those in those magazines were of people, whether it was like a fashion ad or it was like a basketball player. So that was basically like all I was consuming at the time. So I felt like I had a um, good, I guess, example of like what to do, like how to put people in poses and stuff. And I think like working in healthcare, I was always like very comfortable talking to people and like talking to people that I just met and creating like kind of like relationships with people in like a really short amount of time. And I think that would always like work to my advantage when I'm like taking photos of people because it was just like was able to kind of like put them at ease and also put myself at ease. I mean, not gonna lie, it's still like quite nerve wracking when I have to like take photos of like people, whether or not I know them or not. It's always just like it's like I like want to, I want to do a good job, or I like want to make sure that I'm like depicting this person in a way that they will appreciate as well, not just myself. But yeah.
That's always the hardest thing for me too, and I love whenever I like get the chance to talk with a photographer. I like to know how they handle directing people. Like when
Mm.
you're shooting photos of people, are you? I mean, I guess you don't outline what don't give away the secrets, but how do you feel about telling people what to do to be photographed? Like me, it's the hardest part. Other people say too, like taking the actual photo is much easier than like directing how the photo will look beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I always, I mean, going back to basketball, I always look at it as like when I'm taking photos of people, I always I was taught growing up in basketball when you like warm up, you want to start like really close to the basket. You want to start shooting like layups or like just shooting shots like really close to the basket and then work your way out and eventually, like 15 minutes into the warm up, you're like shooting 3 pointers or whatever. It's just to like get yourself like confident and also like working on your form and making your form stays the same no matter what the distance is. So you start like really close. So you just like focus on your form. So once you get really far, it's like your form is like good. But that's kind of like to me when I'm shooting portraits of people, I always like put them in a pose or in like or I always take a photo of them or like put them in a pose that I know like is kind of like really comfortable for everybody, and I know that it's gonna look good to me at least. And even though if I'm not gonna use the photo or not, it's more of just like a warm up like phase for me for me to like get some confidence going into like the rest of like the hour that I have with them. So yeah, that's like my little secret that I have when photographing people.
That's an incredible like approach to it all. And the analogy, like the basketball analogy of like getting further away from the net, that's great too. I think. Yeah, I mean, maybe there are other people who came into photography through these inspirations, but I feel that's like a one of a kind approach to it. Like, I don't know how many people can say that's how they do things and why. Very cool.
Yeah, I just figured that like yeah, I don't know, I just needed to find a way to like kind of shake off like the first nerves of like photographing someone. I feel like when you start like it's like, oh, let's like do this, I don't know, like let's have you laying down on this rock or whatever, like you start too crazy, then like I don't know, you're like my heart rate starts going up and I feel like I gotta like keep winding up like the first photo, and the first photo is already like so crazy, so just start off like slow. Slow, just take a little portrait in front of like a white wall, or find some nice like natural lighting, or and take a photo that I already know that look will look good on like anybody, and then we'll get crazier from there. But I don't really like take crazy photos like that anyways. It's really just like to shake the nerves for myself and like allow myself time to like um get to know the person that I'm photographing, and then obviously like after most of the shots, like I'll like show the subject or like show the person and be like, hey, like what do you think about these? And then if I take a really nice portrait of like somebody that of in a style that like I know everybody is gonna be like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. Then it gives myself and that person confidence for the rest of the session.
Yeah, these are great. I'm gonna think about these next time.
Yeah,
I don't know when I will be doing a somewhat serious shoot, but when it comes time, I'm gonna think about these.
yeah,
I okay now. Obviously, I'm extremely interested. Now, I would like if you could explain book section, maybe in your own words, just so I mean, I would like to understand it more, and anyone listening who doesn't know at all, I would like for them to understand it as well.
yeah. Book section is a library, so it works exactly like a normal like public library. You come in, you see a book, you'll want to take it home with you for a couple of weeks, and then yeah, there's a little sign up sheet, or if I'm around, then I'll like pop you into my little like library checkout system, and then yeah, you're kind of like on your way. And and all these books are they're mine. Like all the most, I would say like 90% of the books are books that I've owned and collected over the years of like my curiosity and I guess discovery of like what I like in terms of photography and like art and design and stuff like that. And uh, yeah, that's like pretty much like the function of it. And I started it maybe 2 or 3 years ago now in the first Alterior space. Um, but yeah, I kind of like adopted this idea from this person named Allison. They're based out of New York and they run something called the Resource Library. Um, yeah, I saw the idea because she was running that library from this like furniture design store called Lichen in New York. And she was running her library out of that store. And then I was already sharing like this space with Alterior, and I was like, oh man, like this is sick. Like I want to do something like this. So
Have you lost any significant books like in lending them all out? I mean, it's extremely commendable that you do this because outside of a few like close people, I wouldn't want just anyone going through my collection of books. I would be too like nervous of losing important ones.
yeah, I mean, I'm super casual like with like the operation of book section, and thankfully I've only had one book that has never gotten returned. Um, but I mean that's one out of like hundreds of books that I have in here. So that's pretty good, I'd say. Yeah, there's definitely people that like take a really, really long time to return a book, but I'm not really like hounding people for them anyways. So yeah, some people will have books for like a year and a half, and then I'll finally email them and be like, "Hey, like you have this, right?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. Like I'll bring it back tomorrow." But yeah, it's pretty chill. And I mean, most of the books that I have in here, like I do have a lot of books at home that I like keep pretty precious that I like look at pretty often, and I don't wouldn't want anybody to like take it home with them for a year and a half. But so all the books that I have in the library are like I know that they're meant like to be borrowed, so I've already like detached myself from being too precious with them.
Yeah, only one in a couple of years, hundreds of books. That's good odds. Like that, definitely a very negligible loss.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, but thankfully, just one. I mean, it was like it was a pretty big book, but it's all good. I'm like, hopefully that person is enjoying that book as much as I did.
How big was your library then, and like how much has it grown over the past couple of years? Like of the books that you lend.
Mm. Yeah, I think it started out with maybe 60 to 70 books, and then now I think I'm at like including like the little zines and stuff. There's probably like 300 up there. Yeah.
That's a like pretty expensive growth in only a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I also think I like started buying even more books as soon as I started the library because people would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, do you have any books on like this type of design or do you have like this type of photography book?" And then I just like go out and like just like scour like eBay or like wherever like bookstores like around the neighborhood or whatever and like look for these types of books and then I just like would accumulate so many books within a week like going to all these used bookstores like buying stuff so that people would could like come and like look at them basically or borrow them or like yeah and then I was buying a lot of personal books that I would like add into the library and then I also take like donations as well so that definitely added to a lot of the library and then yeah a lot of people would just like drop off their zines and like drop off like their yeah school project magazines stuff like that and like yeah, I just take anything. I mean, every I would say every like half year I'll like kind of do a little cleaning and see which books or magazines like haven't really been touched or maybe nobody's really interested in them. So then I'll just like either give them away for like scrapbooking purposes for people that come into Alterior. Um, a lot of people apparently really enjoyed doing that. Or yeah, or I'll just like sell like a stack of books and put them in like a $5 or $10 bin or whatever, and then it'll usually be gone by like within a week.
Like I'm just thinking personally, like I would never, or it would be really hard to decide like if I was in a bookstore or eBay, whatever. I don't know how I would decide which book is for me at home, like for no one to borrow, or what do I get like for the masses? Like what's your process for that?
I try to keep it so like the way I guess I curate like the book section is I try to keep it like pretty um I guess the best word to describe is like friendly, I guess. Um I don't like to get like super like heady on the type of like books that I carry. Like I have obviously books and stuff like at home that are very specific to like my taste and the stuff that like not a lot of people like know about. And maybe it's like maybe a little too um like into my inch or maybe too niche, I guess, um for like the general public that like come into the library. So I try to keep like the books that I have in there like pretty approachable to like anybody at um, any point in their creative like career or anything like that, or creative like pursuit, or I don't know, artistic pursuit. Um, that way, like the books like become a little bit more digestible, and it's easier for me to like explain like the origins of like where things come from and like or who this photographer is or who this artist is and how they relate to like something that maybe they've seen in everyday life, you know what I mean? Like I might not carry um like I might not, I mean I do have a this book, but like for example, like there's like a woodworker named like George Nakashima, I think his name is. I could be wrong, but like, but if you're like a woodworking person, you probably like know who this guy is, but most people like don't, you know. But then I'll have a lot of books on like Charles and Ray Eames and like Donald Judd and stuff like that, and those are like people who design stuff that's super recognizable. You might not know it's like a Eames chair, but chances are somebody that comes in here might have like a Eames replica chair that they bought, not knowing that it's like the original design is Eames. So like that's kind of like how I like decide like what types of like books are in the book section. Um, because I just kind of want them to be like relatable to anybody, and I kind of want them to be like um yeah, I'm not trying to be like super niche on the books that like nobody understands like what's going on in here, because I love talking to people, and I'm always like very curious when somebody comes upstairs to the book section like, "Oh, how did you find this?" and like, "What do you do?" And a lot of them are like, maybe early on in their like design career, or maybe and they go to the art school down the street and stuff like that. So it's like, and I talk to them about like what type of stuff they like, and then what type of artists they like, and yeah, I don't know. I want to keep everything very friendly and very approachable. So then we can create like more links within like uh, each other and like our language. So yeah, I don't know if that like
Do you have any data like just stored in your head or maybe even physical? But what's like is there a book that is borrowed more than others? Like what's the most borrowed title?
there's a book. Um, man, I'm like blanking out on like the name of the book, but there's this book that I got from Value Village for like $4, and it's a book that it's a book that is about graphic design and like and music. It interviews like different art directors for art directors that worked like within music, mostly in like Asia and the UK, and they kind of do like each like page is like a different art director or different artist, and they kind of explain like how they art directed or like designed like these really like super like niche like musical artists and stuff like that, and they're like album covers and like the inner like leaflets for CDs and stuff like that. Um, I didn't think that book would be super popular, but it is probably like the most like taken out book um, that I have, and every single time somebody returns it, like a day later, like it's like gone, and I'm like, okay, like who took this out? And then it'll come back, it might stay for a couple days, and then again it's like gone. And I don't know if like people are telling people like, yo, there's this book in book section that you should, if you're a graphic designer, like you should, or art director or whatever, like you should look at it. But yeah, it's like always like something that people are attracted to. And I don't even think it's like to me like that special of a book, but I don't know, people really enjoy it. So yeah, I would have thought that it would have been like a more obvious book, like Sophia Coppola archive book or whatever. Like, but I don't think anybody wants to take home that like 10 pound book. So
It's always like the one you would least expect, I think,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm trying to again think from my point, like if I had a curated selection of books, it would definitely I would think one would be the hit. No one would probably ever borrow it, but then the one I didn't think was gonna be the hit, that would be the one probably. That just how it always goes for me at least.
Yeah, yeah. That was like I just would have never thought, and that was one of the first like that was probably in the first 10 books that I bought specifically for book section when I first started. So and people are still taking it out. So yeah, it's great.
What about I don't know if there's success stories, I'll call them that. I guess like you I mean the whole point of it is really just to like educate and like show people what's out there. There isn't really much like gain
Mhm.
beyond that, I assume. But have you heard like people just in passing like tell you they borrowed a few books and now they're into photography, or they borrowed some books and now they're like designing clothing or furniture?
Yeah, I mean I haven't got like those specific comments before, but I definitely um yeah, have had several people like talk to me about how like, oh, this is like such a great resource, like I know I can always come here and like feel inspired, like I'm a student, or like I'm an industrial designer, and like it's just nice to like have like a resource like this that's like free obviously, and like and obviously in like a really cool space like with Alterior and stuff. So it's nice that like the purpose of like what I'm trying to do with book section is like in some ways kind of working. And yeah, no, it's great, and it allows me to meet other people that I wouldn't normally meet on my day-to-day like life. Um, and it helps me discover like what type of art like people are making out there, and just like what type of like awesome people out there are that are making cool stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even, I mean, I did a bit, but that wasn't my main thought. But you must be having conversations with so many interesting people based on these books.
Yeah, I mean there's this one guy that came in and like he like I guess like a 3D print artist, and he came in like just gave me like a bunch of like his 3D printed like art. One of them was like this really I don't know if you know what like a kendama is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he like 3D printed like a kendama, but it was like really oddly shaped. Like it wasn't a ball, it was like a cube, and it was probably like maybe like a foot and a half like tall, and it's like this like and it's like all like primary colors, and he just dropped it off, and he's like, hey, like can I put this here? And I'm like, sure. Yeah, I'm like, he's like, you can have it. I was like, as a sculpture for your space. I was like, yo, this is awesome. So yeah, that's that type of stuff like happens like quite often, and I like that I can create like this like open space for people to come and like showcase like what they do. You know, I have like several ceramic artists like up there that are you know selling their stuff out of the book section, and like a couple people who make zines, and I've hosted a couple like zine launches for like some local artists to like showcase their stuff. And I think more importantly, like that's what I'm like trying to like achieve with like book section. I mean, the library is like a great resource, but I'm also like it's more so about having like a space that I can like offer people to like show themselves, because it's like not a hard it's like a hard thing to do, like just as an artist, to like find a space to like tell people about yourself and like what you do, or even just like, you know, if you make physical things, it's like where do you go to like just show what you do, you know, to other people who might be interested. And I think like having the space has really allowed me to like be open to um yeah, kind of like giving that to other people. Um, and that's like to me the most important part about having book section.
Are you worried at all? Like, what if it gets too big? Like, what's your cap on books?
Definitely when it's like I don't even know. Like I mean, I got rid of a bunch of books like recently, so now I'm like kind of in the rebuilding phase. But like I like the space up there is like it's not big, um, and I just have this kind of like small like corner of books, and I just have like this like three like storied shelf. I have two of them, and if it gets too big for those, then yeah, I got to start getting rid of books, or like taking some home and like, or like putting some in the storage, and maybe we'll like switch them out every now and then or something like that. But if it doesn't fit within those spaces, yeah, that's kind of like my cap.
You you said you have about 300 in store. How many in your like personal collection at home?
At home, yeah, I'm probably like maybe sitting on like 100. Yeah, 100 books, probably between me and my girlfriend for sure. Um, but yeah, but most of the books, like yeah, I try to like feed them all into like book section, because I want people to yeah, like discover like what I'm discovering at the same time. So yeah.
Do you like people, regulars and customers who are coming in, do they like teach? They must. I feel dumb asking, but they teach you about books they know about that you don't know about yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I always ask people, I'm like, yo, like what's your favorite book, or like what's your reference book that you use for whatever it is that they do, whether it's like ceramics or woodworking or music or anything like that. I mean, most of the books up there are pretty like photo based, of course, because I do photo. but but yeah, I always ask people, because like yeah, different walks of artists come by, and I want like books to be available for them to like reference and look at too. And you know, books are also like pretty expensive, but I have no problem like buying like an expensive book. You know, it's like my only financial vice, I guess, is just buying books. Some people might buy expensive sneakers, but I think I'll buy expensive books.
No,
But
I'm like that too. I'm like, if a shoe or a pair of pants is like $5 more than I think it should be, it's like out of the question. But a book, can it be whatever the price is if I'm on that book? Like no thinking about it, no debating, just like, oh, I guess that's how much books cost. So I also have a ton of I guess overpriced isn't the word because they're amazing books that I like having, but they've cost more than all of my shoes put together.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only downside about having so many books is like when you have to move, and that's like, yeah, that's like the only downside. But I'll keep accumulating as many books as I like, and yeah, I always like take recommendations from people, because it allows me to like, you know, look outside of what I normally look at too. So when people recommend me a book, I like look it up right away, and I'm like, okay, like this seems pretty cool. I kind of want to have this in here, and maybe it'll be useful for some other people too. So yeah, I do get a lot of like crowdsource like buying book recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, that type of stuff always goes the furthest with me as well. If I get into a photographer or a style of photos or an era, and I can like research books all week, I won't really find anything that speaks to me. But then one person will just be like, "Oh, if you like this, you might like this book," and then I look into it immediately, and it's always like that's what I was looking for all week.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a specific like type of maybe photography or like even specific photographers like books that I have up there that I always like will always like carry because they're like photographers that I really enjoy like currently and for a while. Um, yeah, so there's like a small percentage of like personal curation where I'm like trying to put people on to like this photographer because I think they're like sick, and hopefully people ask me about them and why. Like, oh, why do you, I'm hoping one day somebody like picks up one of the books upstairs and be like, hey, I noticed you have like 10 Peter Sutherland books. Like, what's up with that? I'm waiting for someone to ask me that, but but so far nobody has. But
Funny, I would have thought people would ask about that. Like a lot of people are fans of his work.
yeah, I don't know. I guess like in the community of like, I get a lot of like students from Emily Carr, like the art university, like pretty close to Alterior. Like a lot of them come through book section. They hear about it through like one of their classmates or whatever that like happen to come by to like come and shop at the Alterior and stuff like that. Um, but I guess for like maybe slightly like maybe the yeah like that younger crowd, they haven't maybe really discovered like people like Peter or like Ari Markupala or like even like Jerry Sue and stuff like that. Like it's still maybe a little like niche, but I have a lot of their books up there, and I hope like a photographer comes up there and asks me about it, and then I can give them a full download.
Who, if you had to guess, what are these like like who's the photographer that these people would know about?
um, probably like the more like Tyler Mitchell, I think is like somebody that like a lot of like younger people know about. He's like American. He does a lot of fashion. I think he's like shot like the first like I think he shot like the first he's like the first like black photographer to shoot like Beyonce for like Vogue or something like that. But I personally don't know that much about him, but I know a lot of like younger people like talk about him, and obviously like a lot of them know the classics like Wolfgang Tillmans and Jürgen Teller and stuff like that, and but there's a lot of like younger like photographers like in the scene that I don't know about, only maybe because they haven't like published books before, but like but I'll always look up people that people recommend or tell me about and stuff like that. But a lot of the younger people, they're on like a they yeah they have their own taste, which I'm like super curious about, and yeah, I love hearing it.
Yeah, I love the idea of it. I'm probably, I mean, who knows? I assume you know exactly what I'm talking about. It keeps getting pushed back, but I'm about to print like 40 or 50 page photo book, and when it's done, if it ever is, I'll send you some copies to lend people because the whole idea of it is super cool.
Dude, I'd be stoked on that.
Or maybe we don't go to Vancouver as often as we do, and we got a little taste for all this awesome stuff, like being at Alteria, but we had to leave right away. I would love to spend more time there chatting with people, so we might have to come back. So maybe I'll just bring you some in
Yeah,
person. But either way, I would love to be on the shelves if you'd have me.
yeah, that would be super sick to have. I love that type of stuff, and I love like yeah, that's like one of the types of books that I really enjoy having in the section is like people that I like kind of know or like local people that I know dropping off their stuff. I like try to highlight those types of those books and zines and stuff like that that like yeah that are like, it feels a little bit more like more personal, like to me, and like and like to the space too. It's like really like lends to the space that like someone will be like come into book section and be like, oh, like this is my classmate, or like, oh, this is like my coworker, like how do you have this? And I'm like, oh, like they came here, they like dropped us off, and like, oh, I'm, you know, showing off their work, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's so sick. I'm like, I'm actually a photographer too, like could I drop off my zine here? I'm like, yeah, super down. And I think it's like it builds like I guess like I hate using the word community these days, but like it builds like a community in a very like organic type of way, where it's kind of like, you know, I'm like, it's not like I'm trying to carry these books like, or people's zines like in a way where it's like, yo, like I'm carrying this zine so then people could think I'm cool or something like that. But it's more so just like, well, I got the space, and if you have some art you want to show, I'm down, you know, and you're from here, it's awesome, you know what I mean? Or like you're from Canada, or like you're like, you know, so and so homie, like I'm down. Like, yeah, it creates a very like a more like, it brings more people in to like discover new stuff, brings in more people in for Alterior and what they do and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, hopefully next time when you come through, you can talk to Dallas and Cole. They're like the best dudes, and I've been like working with them for over like 10 years now. And like, yeah, they're like brothers, like my own brothers at this point.
Yeah, the whole thing is a beautiful harmony of so much cool stuff going on. It makes me very happy that you guys have it, but jealous that I don't have anything like that closer to where I am. It's one of those things where I think anyone hearing it is gonna wish they had access to something like that, but it's also one of those things that not a lot of people would take the chance on putting together. So like that in itself, I think, should be commended that you like wanted to see this existing, so you made it exist.
Yeah, and I think that was like the whole kind of like idea behind even like starting like book section, and also like, yeah, teaming up with Alterior and creating like this space. I mean, we've been spoiled by getting a space that's like super gigantic, so we have like room to do all this stuff. But I mean, the idea was to like hopefully um, inspire some people, whether it's like locally or like nationally or internationally, to see that like, oh yeah, like you could make a space like this, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like hard. You kind of just have to like take the risk to like be committed to like um like sharing your space and giving other people, voices within your space and stuff like that. And yeah, it's worked out really great for us. um yeah, it's been awesome. It's been an awesome ride, like having this space. But it is like, yeah, hopefully it inspires a lot of people to like create a space of their own wherever they're from. Being in Vancouver, we're like, we're surrounded by, a lot of retail giants, and and also kind of like privileged with like having so many cool shops around too. So, and me, Dallas and Cole, we came from like working from those cool shops, I guess. So we kind of like took kind of like what we learned from there, and then kind of got rid of all like the crappy stuff about working at those places, and kind of created something new that hopefully, yeah, other people can see and like take inspiration from. And we've seen it happen like within um, the community, people being like, oh, like I saw that you guys hosted like a chess night or like a bike ride, and like, yeah, we want to do that too. So like, yeah, we're gonna do our own like chess night and bike ride, coffee pop up in Victoria or whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's cool. That's cool that people are like seeing these like honestly very simple ideas, but it's nice to see, I guess, like see it from people that maybe aren't like that are people that are more like relatable, I guess, like people that you see like within yourself too. So it's like cool.
Yeah. I mean that again, I can't say enough how envious I am that it's like so accessible where you are, but it seems so far away from where I am. And I love the fact that all of this is sort of birthed out of an interest in Slam magazine.
Yeah, that's probably where it all started. Is Slam magazine, like the photography interest, the image consuming, the collecting for sure, and yeah, I guess a lot of like the photography process all comes from Slam. So shout out to Slam.
I guess if you had more shelf room, it would be cool to have all the like Slam issues over the years. Like if someone could flip through all those, that can inspire a whole different type of collector.
Yeah, I had a couple issues in here that I was like keeping in here because I was just wanted to look at them all the time, and yeah, every now and then I would like someone will pick them up. I'm like, whoa, like this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, like out of all these like art and design and photo magazines, there's just like this old like Slam magazine there, the sneaker edition or something.
Incredible. I looking at the time, I mean I could talk about all this stuff forever, as I assume you could, but I don't want to eat up any more of the day than I said I would. So before we go, could you please take a minute to let anyone listening know where they can find you and your work, or book section, or Alterior, whatever you want to promote right now? The mic is yours. Please go.
Yeah, I mean, you can find my work on my personal Instagram. It's just at Donnel Garcia. You can follow book section, just book, and then two underscores section. And for even more interesting things, you can follow at Alterior Design and at Vintage Sponsor, but free Vintage Sponsor right now. Uh, his Instagram's a little. I think it got suspended or something. So
I know. I really want to have. I want to have him on for like a true crime episode where he explains what's happening.
yeah, that was like probably the craziest thing to happen in like the um, past week or so. But when he does, get back on Instagram, please look up Vintage Sponsor for the best vintage goods in the world. And yeah, just all the homies. But yeah, and if anybody is visiting Vancouver or planning to visit Vancouver, listening to this episode, yeah, please slide through Alterior and come have a chat, just hang out. Yeah, that's all.
Cool. Thank you very much. And I didn't even say before, it was nice that you were on time for the meeting, but it's also incredible that, like, I think we only started talking about this like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
There are people who have been trying to do these with forever, and again, it's no one's fault, but it takes 6 months, a year to get people. And here we are, like 48 hours later. This is incredible.
yeah. Well, Matt shot me the text and he's like, yeah, like, Wesley was in and out. Yeah, he'd love to have you on the pod, and I was like super excited because I've been like, I think I got put onto your podcast because of like teens episode, and then ever since then I've just been like listening to like pretty much almost every episode. I love your pod and I love the people that you bring on, and like yeah, it's like super sick. And I was stoked. I was like, oh man, he wants to talk to me. That's cool. That's awesome. So, and obviously, yeah, I'm pretty chill. My schedule's pretty chill, and I was like, man, I don't like I got time. I got time tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. So yeah, I'm glad we did it so quickly.
Wish. I mean, I get it. It's fun. It will take a while. It's so nice to get them done right away. And then I feel neither one of us like is thinking about it at all. It's like just get it done. It's over, and then we can both get back to our book collections.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to get like grow cobwebs on the email thread.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day and long weekend. And yeah, beyond that, that is all I need.
Thanks, man. You as well. Have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for having me on. I super like truly appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Donnell. Peace.
Peace.